Okay.
Yeah, we got you. All right, everyone. Let me hit record here. All right, again, use the raise your hand function for questions, and I'll call on you guys. I think Ryan, I think I saw you had your hand raised, so if you want to get us started, you can go right ahead.
Yeah, Tony, just do you know what the pitching plan will be tomorrow?
Just that Marcus, Russell, Sneed, Franklin are all rested. Loy and Arvidsson have been our two lefties we've leaned on the most. Those guys are, as fresh as you'd think. I mean, Saturday was the last outing for both. Arb's coming off a good outing, and Deloy's been one of our most reliable guys. And then Krenzel, showed on Saturday that, well, heck, we basically had to take him out because of pitch count, not because of how he's throwing. So all those guys will be available, and we'll kind of try and throw the kitchen sink at them. In what order we hadn't discussed. We haven't been together. Part of us did one workout, part of us did another. And since then, the Alabama game has ended. So now that we know who we're playing, we'll just kind of powwow together and try and decide what order ideally we'd go in.
We'll go to Mike next, and then Ben.
Yeah, Tony, given that Marcus has kind of started all year, what would be the, I guess, upside or thought of him maybe coming out of the bullpen in a game this time of year instead of starting, if that's what you went with?
Just that he's done it before. He did it last year. Did it in big circumstances. Heck, as far as the regular season goes, he might have got the biggest out of the entire year last year out of the bullpen in Lexington, Kentucky. But odds are he'd be the starter for us. And then we would just go in that order. But I don't think with him or maybe some of our other guys in this tournament, we're looking to win. That'll be the pursuit that we're on. But we're also not looking to go crazy with pitch counts, in particular with the guys that are on short rest.
Tony, I know Friday may never come, but with the new format and potentially not playing on Friday, does that allow you to be more aggressive on the front end with what you do with the pitching?
It could. I don't, in our particular circumstance, I don't know that it will. And obviously, with it being single elimination, you got to just look to the day that's in front of you. That's cliche in other situations. In this one, it's literal. So I think it could, but for our team in particular, I don't see that being really a factor.
Ryan, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, what feels like Levi, the quality of his at bats have been really good the last couple of weeks. Maybe what's different about him as a hitter now compared to early in SEC play?
Just looks more comfortable. I think in SEC play, he probably felt as comfortable as always because he's super competitive. He's got real confidence, and then he's always hit. It's his whole life, so he's been in a bunch of competitive situations already. I think just scatter report stuff, pitcher stuff goes up, new circumstances. There was a minor bit of struggle there, but it wasn't anything drastic. And part of it too is we've got other tools available, and it's frustrating you can't use them all at once. But the quality of his at bats have been tremendous, even when he's just drawing a walk, or even when he gets out. He's a pain in the butt for the opposing pitcher.
All right, we'll go David next, and then we'll go to Sam, and then Eric after that.
Hey, Tony, when you think about like the last couple of years, you've run the extremes in Hoover, playing 5 times last year and winning, and then being one and done the year before that. Just what is the difference in the last 2 years, just the experience in terms of moving on to the NCAA tournament? How have those experiences contrasted?
I think this tournament, everything affects everything. So this tournament is one where there's a bunch of different styles and approaches people take to it. But like any set of circumstances that are intense, we talked about SEC play with Levi, being here in Hoover. Our first time here did not go well, and part of it was our guys were just out of sorts for 4 or 5 innings, and you got to get accustomed to it. You got to kind of know what it looks like, and you don't have to be the guy that played, 10 different times at Hoover at the Met, but Hunter Ensley has. It helps if you lean on him a little bit. So this week will affect next week in one way or another, and it's up to you to turn anything really into a positive. But the other thing is, the more experienced you are, the more you would think you would have an advantage. But it's playoff time, and there's no guarantees. It's definitely expect chaos time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess, Tony, I guess kind of going off of that, obviously you guys won it all last year, but dropped that first game, big difference from that first game the rest of the week. Just how does that, you talked a little bit about how it changes the pitching plan, but in terms of just being single elimination, how does it affect, I guess, the whole week in general?
I think it makes it a lot more intense. I don't know how it's going to affect the fan bases or anything else, or how the weather will affect it. Because there's always, lightning or rain delays here. It's just part of the beast. Um, but I think it's just going to make everything a little bit more crucial. It's sudden death right out of the chute. And normally for baseball, and it probably is a little better for baseball overall to have double elimination because of the nature of our game, but it's got a little bit more of a March Madness feel to it. So I've been asked a bunch of different questions about we talked about Friday and pitching plans and environment. And while this is very familiar to the coaching staff and some of our players, the new format is new. Just that. It's new to everybody. So it'll be interesting what kind of reflecting we all do on the tournament as a whole. And then obviously the group that's on here will reflect on Tennessee baseball's time here.
Yeah, Tony, obviously you're there to win, every game. You're there to win the whole tournament, but you have a checklist because you know what's about to come with NCAA regionals and all that. You mentioned pitch count earlier. What else is on that checklist that you want to see from your team to try to get accomplished or get work in this week?
That's a good question. I think, again, we've talked before with the double elimination format like last year, we did not play our best in the first game. We certainly competed, but we did check some boxes. And I don't know that that's necessarily a big deal now. I mean, if you had your pick, you'd like to get Tegan Coons and Krenzel and a couple other guys that are freshmen some time with their cleats in the dirt in what is called playoff baseball. So that would probably require a few games, or at the minimum 2 games. But for now, how single elimination has affected us is we kind of just tried to prepare like tomorrow is the only game of the weekend. The only difference at all is of course Liam. The way we set up the pitching, he's anxious to pitch here, but for that to work, we're going to need to win. And so he's kind of set aside his routine separate from the rest of the team. But everybody else is, put everything you got into tomorrow.
All right, guys, we got time for a couple more. Ben, we'll go to you.
Tony, you didn't shy away from your thoughts about where Marcus was at after his Vanderbilt outing and after they stole 8 bases. Why did you think that he could handle that? Maybe being called a little bit to the carpet, and what'd you see differently from him going into his Arkansas outing that allowed him to not allow a stolen base?
For sure. I saw a big improvement. Our team was playing better. So if we're winning or the defense is playing well behind them, we're good around the bases. The catching's doing their part. It's some of the parts, So, it lifts him up a little bit as well, but he made progress. And I think he's now mature enough and tough enough and has real confidence that I don't know that he had last year, that you can do stuff like that and he'll respond. And he's been working at it. And just like you guys saw him progress from maybe a hitter to maybe a pitcher into all the way to being a starting pitcher in the league, there's still other things that he's in the middle of a progression with. And yeah, I'm like you guys and some of the other people. I wish it would happen quicker. It's not an immediate thing, but there's definitely been improvement. And it's something, among other things too, that he's working on every week to get better at. And I think there was signs of that shown as far as improvement goes.
Eric, we'll finish off with you.
Tony, as you enter this next phase of the season, SEC tournament, regionals, all that and more, how much of a luxury is it to have a guy like AJ Russell who started games, coming to the bullpen? He's a veteran in this league. He kind of knows what it's all about.
Yeah, it is, because bridge innings have been hit or miss for us, to be blunt about it. And by that, I mean our starters have done a good job for us by the nature of Liam's strikeouts and some of Marcus's games, and then the age of the other guys that we've been pitching. Sometimes in the 5th inning, it's bullpen time. And it's been, again, hit or miss. And part of it is who's available and who's not. And AJ could start, he could close. As you mentioned, he's done a variety of things. But for this team in particular, he got our only win of the weekend by being a very, very valuable, call it bridge guy or middle relief, whatever you want to. So, yeah, Swiss Army knife of all sorts, which you always kind of want 1 or 2 of those guys on your pitching staff. And maybe we've picked one up now that he's kind of got his cleats underneath him and has built up the pitch count a little bit.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Coach.
Yeah, thanks.